Welcome back. Now, all is not too well in the two biggest political parties in the country, and how they both manage the festering crisis in their parties could have a bearing on their performance in the upcoming general elections in 2023. Let's start with the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP. The emergence of Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as the party's vice presidential candidate is certainly not going down well, with some high-profile members of the party who feel the Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, should have been chosen instead. Now, earlier in June, the presidential candidate of the party, Atiku Abubakar, picked Okowa as his running mate against the recommendation of the majority of a 17-man committee he set up to help him choose the most suitable running mate. Now, it has since emerged that 14 members of the committee had recommended Governor Wike of Rivers State as the running mate, but Abubakar eventually settled for Okowa as his running mate, saying he preferred him, and of course, against the recommendation of the 13 members of the committee. The issue has since degenerated into strong disagreement among party leaders, as some of them even called for the removal of the national chairman of the party, Dr. Iyorchia Ayu. At a point, there were speculations that Ayu had been removed, a speculation, of course, which has since been denied. Governor of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, also accused the party of betraying Wike. Ortom said Abubakar, whose campaign promise is hinged on uniting Nigerians, is not doing enough to bring his party members together. It remains to be seen how that issue will be resolved. But let's turn our attention now to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. Things are not all that rosy as well in the party. While the presidential candidate of the party is still shopping for his running mate, another crisis is brewing. Some senators of the party have decamped to opposition political parties now, and more still plan to exit. The action of the defecting senators was a fallout from the party primaries held, where quite a number of them lost. Almost 30 of the senators may not be returning to the National Assembly after losing in the primaries. It's the same thing in the House of Representatives as well. The lawmakers are threatening mass defection if something is not done to address their situation. These, of course, prompted President Buhari to hold a meeting with them last week, hoping to douse the tension and stopping them from defecting. Well, the jury is still out as to whether the lawmakers have been placated. We just have to wait and see. But let's discuss this some more. Joining me on the program right now is Public Affairs Analyst Sonny Maduka. Mr. Maduka, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Let's start off with the PDP. What do you make of the seeming crisis that is playing out now over the choice of the running mate to Atiku Abubakar?
If you look at the crisis, I think it's critical, not just mere crisis. You know, it's an understatement by saying crisis. The PDP crisis is much critical because as of today, nobody is sure of who is actually heading that party, vis-a-vis what happened during the convention at Abuja. We all talked about it, that the foundation of whoever that is coming out will help in giving that opposition party and another new idea, new lead. But unfortunately, what happened in Abuja created a lot of discomfort among the leadership of PDP. And just like you mentioned, a recommendation was made whereby Wike was selected to be the vice president. But the aspirant, Atiku Abubakar, decided to take Okowa. And then that was when the crisis started. One, I was looking at it from the angle of what is Okowa bringing to the table? Yes. In terms of patronage, in terms of acceptability. If 14-member committee could recommend somebody, it means that is a trust of the party. And once you miss it, it's a foundational fall. And of course, it's going to take PDP a lot of time to be able to galvanize support from Wike, especially who felt being betrayed. Even from the first day after that convention, he came back and he said it openly that there was deception in the party. And that deception is what is cracking that party. And if the party is not taking it very, very serious, I'm telling you, we may have PDP that is dilapidated, but known by name. That's just what I will tell you. Because as of today, you've heard about it, that Wike has met with the Labour aspirant. And the outcome, nobody can tell. Equally has done with the NNPC.
But look, irrespective of the fact that that 17-member committee recommended Wike, the truth is that the candidate is not bound by the decision of that member, that 17-member committee now, because their role is basically advisory. At the end of the day, the choice, I mean, it's the candidate who makes the choice of who should be his running mate, and he decides who he thinks he can work with. So why should the candidate be crucified for his choice?
Yeah, I know it's his choice. But when you come to political game, you must know who is your strong supporter, who is your strong hand. And of course, we know that Wike coming second means that he's very strong in PDP. And of course, you know,
is this a question of Wike being very strong in PDP, or because Wike actually has the funds to because whether we like it or not, yes, it's true he came second, but is it a measure of his popularity that he came second, or the fact that he spent so much?
Well, the spending you're talking about is just an allegation, kind of. Nobody can substantiate that.
And another question I want to ask is, what is the guarantee that Wike, for instance, when it comes to the general elections, that Wike would do better for the candidates than Okowa?
I think the general consensus from what the committee recommended will give you an idea that the committee, they are the chieftains of PDP. And it means that when they recommend something to you and you jettison it, you are equally backsliding them, and they will not feel happy about it.
What about if the membership of that committee, or the members of that committee, if the majority of them are close to Wike and have a relationship with him? Take, for instance, the governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom. He's very close to Wike. And in recent days now, we can see he's been talking as if he's the spokesperson of Wike. He's been everywhere. So he's very close to Wike. Would you have expected him to have voted otherwise, if you like, in an election that Wike was taking part in?
Yes. Let me tell you, the voting pattern will still be based on those leaders that support either the candidate or the vice president, because they are the ones at the grassroots. Look at the governor you talked about. He talked about even yesterday, and up to today has not made up his mind whether to support Atiku or not. This is a minus to the People's Democratic Party. As of today, what they're supposed to do, which is APC doing, is try to galvanize consensus parley amongst everybody, even the grieved ones. Let's come together and see how we can sort it out. But you can see that all the MSs we sent to Wike, none of them have been able to meet Wike, because that hurt is there. You cannot go to a political campaign without having your core state governors backing you. And if the core state governors are not backing you, of course, you know what is going to happen.
Why do you think Wike is very important for the PDP? Is it because of his money, or that he has so much followership?
No, it's not because of his money. It is because there was a committee set up by the party. So if a committee set up by the committee, it has constitutional right. If they know that they are having another idea, if the aspirant, Atiku Abubakar, knew that he has a soft spot for Okowa, there shouldn't have been any need of setting that committee. Setting up that committee was the problem. If they had not set up the committee and he just pronounced Okowa, there won't be any problem. But setting up a committee means that he wants everybody to be part of the decision-making process. Now everybody has been part of that decision-making process. You're not giving them that idea. You now select and pick your own. Of course, you're talking about autocratic government, and that is what everybody cannot take. and
no,
is going to crack
but in
leadership.
in this case, the members of that committee, I mean, even when they were meeting, they ought to have known that, look, whatever decision we arrive at is not binding on the candidate, because ultimately he makes a final decision.
That's why I'm saying that they shouldn't have, the party shouldn't have come out on that. You remember when, let me give you an answer. When Abiola won, the party didn't set up a committee. They gave him the leeway to select. Even if you look at even the trajectory we are seeing in APC and Labour Party and MPP, you discover that the presidential candidates selected their candidates, their vice presidents. It wasn't that issue about collective decision-making process. PDP decided to take a process that they feel that when we took that process, everybody will be happy about that process. But unfortunately, when the decision of that process came out, when the result came out, the party flag bearer decided to do otherwise. Definitely, you're going to create some kind of
do you think this could hurt the chances of Atiku Abubakar in the elections?
Definitely it has, except if there's going to be a new machinery by PDP to douse tension and, of course, call everybody who is involved and, pacify everybody. And Atiku should be able to come out open, not sending delegates. This is not a time for delegates. I expect Atiku to go there and talk to Wike, talk to all the aggrieved members, and let them see reasons why he did what he did. By sending delegates, it's not helping matters.
Well,
it's going to create
one thing I know is that that talk will definitely not be easy, especially when you you have a situation where at some point Governor Wike felt, he should be not just the vice presidential candidate, but the candidate of the party. But we just wait and see how that talks would pan out. But obviously, I mean, there will be some talking along the line. Let's bring our attention now to the APC. There's still a problem there too. The senators are threatening to defect en masse. The president has met with them. Things are a bit calm for now, but do you think this might just be the calm before the storm?
There's no calm in APC, as far as I'm concerned. What we are seeing is just there's this proverb in my place. They said is the underground water that kills the yam. What is happening in APC is even worse than what is happening in PDP. There's a lot of sycophants in APC, and they are not coming out openly. Just recently, we discovered that some of the senators and House of Reps are defecting in mass. And why are they defecting? None of them could be able to tell you the reason, actually.
No, I mean, they've made it very clear because they lost in the primaries.
Apart from losing, everybody will not be a winner. But that is not the core. Well, but
their major allegation is that the governors hijacked the primaries, and that is why the majority of them are not coming back. Because really, you take a look at the Senate, quite a lot of them are not coming back. Quite a lot of them in the House too are not coming back. They lost in the primaries.
Well, that is the electoral law we've bequeathed ourselves. The electoral law has given powers to the governors. It's the governor that selects most of the delegates. So if they don't select you, you don't go anywhere.
So in other words, the lawmakers actually shot themselves in the foot when they passed that law.
Exactly. Because that statutory delegates, I don't know whether it's the will of God or whatever, but I don't know. So all of them, they are 109 plus 36. They couldn't have read and discovered that clause. And they shot themselves. And there's nothing they can do. The governors were given the ultra power. And that is why the delegates will always support whoever that the governor bring to fore. And that's what is playing out, not only in APC, but in all the parties that will have people in the Senate or the House of Reps. maybe
the
as
question,
time goes on, we will look at
the next question I want to ask you, for those who are threatening to defect, do they think when they defect, they are going to pick the tickets of these parties?
No. This is a period of what you call transactional maneuvering. This is a time for you to talk about your own benefit on where you're going. There are a lot of political maneuvering right now. So people are defecting based on what they must have been promised. And that is the issue, because they know that they've lost, so they cannot lose at both ends. So they are looking at a situation whereby the bargaining power of whoever that is coming to law them will be able to give them a clear-cut and tangible thing that they will see and they will get when they defect. And that is what is happening, and that's what is playing out right now. And of course, you know the APC issue too. There's a lot of controversy right now. And whether we like it or not, the controversy of the certificate, the controversy of age, the controversy of health. So people are reading. And don't forget that these senators are they are equally having a feeling about from the citizens. So they are reading the body language of the citizens. So they don't want to be people that you can cast out and they become outcast. So they want to see how they can play the role of, we are good boys.
For me, the way,
that kind of thing.
For me, the way I see it, it's essentially about self-preservation. That's what
that is just it. That's what I'm saying. That's why I say self-bargaining. They are bargaining what they will benefit. That's why they are defeating, nothing else.
Exactly. Well, Sonny Maduka, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for joining us on the program.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Well, that's how much you can take on the program this week. We thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.